Welcome to Out of the Blue Bee, number 105.2. So elsewhere I've brought up this question about the J. Hewitt Mackenzie map. And I will link to the map below, and I'll link to the Wikipedia page below. But I want to answer the question is, what's the explanation for this? Because what it is in the map is on page 198 of the book I'll link below, Spirit Intercourse. J. Hewitt Mackenzie has a map in miles of the dimensions and the structure of the spirit spheres, in which he says there's an inner sphere which starts here, and there's an outer sphere which ends here, and there's a gap in between the two. This was first published in 1916. The edition I'll link below is a 1917 edition. Years later, in 1958, the Van Allen belts were discovered, and they have the same structure: an inner sphere which starts here, an outer sphere which ends here, and a gap in the middle. So the question is, how did J. Hewitt Mackenzie get this right? And also, he describes traveling in the spirit spheres, and there's all kinds of places and people, and it's all these quaint little stories, or some not so quaint. And it seems like he was traveling in the Van Allen belts. And how do I explain this? What's the Neo-Swedenborgianistic explanation? The Neo-Swedenborgianistic explanation is that he was not actually traveling in the Van Allen belt. He didn't go up above England, 10,000 miles into the sky. He was traveling within himself in what would be called a physiological microcosm. Micro meaning very small, cosm meaning world. A very small world. Physiological meaning within the workings of his body somewhere, somehow, there's a physiological microcosm, which is a little image of the entire Earth, including the magnetosphere. So that's where we're starting now. And in the other books I read, specifically Monsignor Hugh Benson's Life in the World Unseen and Rebecca Springer's Intramuros, they talk about traveling on boats. And so I'm going to introduce this book, which is a fiction book called Totem for T. Jacque. And in it, they are traveling on the Mississippi River. I'm going to read the very beginning. Where it says, and here's their boat. Well, they start out on the St. Lawrence. They later get to the Mississippi River. On the St. Lawrence, May 15th, 1734. It begins. The boy glanced over his shoulder at the black cloud crouched like a lynx over the wide St. Lawrence River. Like a lynx, L-Y-N-X. Or is it like a link, L-I-N-K? I'm going to present this book as what it's like to travel in the spirit world. Thanks. See ya.